All right, welcome to episode number 11 of the Next Man Up podcast. I'm here with Rich and Adam. Someone was already making noise. Did you guys hear that?
I think that was Rich.
Oh,
That was not me. I turned myself on mute before I even clicked record, so it's coming from one of you guys.
definitely wasn't me. I think it was you, Rich.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I-
Rich is still getting the hang of this podcast. Adam and I think are doing quite well, but
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, I was gonna finish the rest of my introduction, but Rich sounded like you had something to say. No.
I had nothing to say besides some bullshit, but
Well, that's not a good
continue.
start. That's not a good start, guys. That Rich already has nothing to say.
Cool.
So let's
Well,
hope it gets better.
anyway, in case you're also speechless, basically the point of this podcast is we're just a couple of pals. We like to talk about sports, tell people how to do their jobs, even though we definitely couldn't do them very well. And today we're going to kick things off with sort of a super diva situation, which is a guy we certainly couldn't do his job, but he's certainly complaining about his job. And I don't know, guys, how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers' opinions on the Green Bay Packers right now?
All right, so I'm going to start with Aaron Rodgers and this whole nonsense of him complaining. So Aaron Rodgers, I feel, since he has become a starter, has done nothing but complain about the Packers, even though he has always had a legit number one receiver,
Right.
solid 2 or 3. Tight end has kind of been up and down, has always had a top offensive line in the league. So for him to sit there and complain that he never has any weapons or they're not doing enough for Aaron Rodgers, I don't know where the media got this notion from, besides the Packers never drafted a receiver in round 1. But they keep finding number 1 receivers in later rounds. So why do they have to draft a receiver in the first round? And also with that, Aaron Rodgers is a little butthurt off of the moves that the Packers have been making because they're not informing him on what they are doing, which, okay, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, but they don't have to get his approval on football moves. If Aaron Rodgers wants to go be a GM of a team, go apply to be a GM of a team and go show the GMs how to do their job if you're that upset about what they're doing. So that whole notion is really just like, I'm not a fan of this. Like, I'm not saying he needs to like shut up and play, but like at the same time, the things that are getting leaked and the things that are being said just makes Aaron Rodgers not look very good and well. And if that's what Green Bay is trying to do, then good job on Green Bay for making A-Rod try to look like he's very selfish individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to use the basketball analogy, but it reminds me a lot of the James Harden situation. Like, it seems like you're starting to see what's going on behind the scenes and how much he kind of has his claws in this front office, to Rich's point. Like, he's not the GM. Yeah, sure. When you're the franchise player, you get a little freedom in terms of roster moves and stuff in most sports when you're that critical to the team. But my thing that's annoying is that, like, they've been really patient with him. They've put good pieces around him. He's got Adams, who is one of the best receivers in the league, and I think had a marvelous year this past year. And no matter what, like, even Brady on a brand new team was able to knock him out of the playoffs. It's like, I don't know what more he wants them to do from a front office perspective. Like, they've given him every cent he's asked for, sometimes to the detriment of their ability to fill out the rest of the roster. Yet they've still been able to put pieces around him like Adams, and he's still not happy and he's not winning. So at some point, maybe it's good that the Packers just move on from him. And I know we're biased as Bears fans, but like, this stuff would not fly in Chicago. And I think, we all get on our, Debbie Downer, like, kind of mood sometimes, like, oh, how come we've never had a quarterback? Could you imagine what it'd be like to have an Aaron Rodgers? But you see stuff like this happen and you're kind of glad that there's not one player that decides the fate and the mood and the attitude of our team. Because, yeah, when things are going good, it's good. But when things are going bad, it's terrible. But yeah, sorry to cut you off, Adam. I just wanted to interject quickly.
Yeah, no problem. And I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying. I would disagree with Rich a little bit, and when he said he doesn't like it. I love it. I love seeing that drama in the Packers locker room for once, and they're talking about shit that's going on with the Packers, QB situation instead of talking about the Bears and how we're struggling with the QB. So, yeah, but I completely agree with you guys. I think he doesn't really have a point when he's saying, "Oh, they don't put enough around me." Like at some point, it's like if he's trying to be the best quarterback of all time, or even one of the best quarterbacks of all time, he should be able to win with the pieces that they've put around him, Devontae Adams and players like that. And I keep hearing it's like, oh yeah, they're not drafting that first round receiver. They have other needs outside of receiver all the time. They historically or within the last couple of years have not had a very good defense.
Right. They scored a ton in the game that got knocked out of the playoffs in, right? Didn't they put up like 40 points?
I don't think it was quite that much, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't
they
like
hang offensively. It's the defense, in my opinion.
right. It wasn't like the offense struggled last year, so I completely see why they continue to go defense, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers has a right to be upset about them trying to address different positions. There's a couple of things that I do think he has a point to be like a little bit upset about. But not at the point where he can kind of pull these moves. Like, for example, the fact when it was his opinion when they were releasing Jordy Nelson, he said that he didn't like the move. He was hoping that Jordy would stay. Same thing when they had Jake Kumerow, and he had just publicly came out and said Kumerow is the player that he feels most comfortable passing to. The next day they cut Kumerow. So, I mean, they have made a couple like weird moves that don't seem to support Aaron, but at the same time, it's like he can't complain that much about the amount of talent they've put around him.
In their defense, didn't those moves work out too? I mean, no, I mean, I could be wrong, but Jordy Nelson really hasn't. Is he even still in the league? Isn't he retired now? Like,
Nope,
he did retire.
He's retired.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like he went on to have this prosperous career somewhere else. Like, sometimes the GM's job and the team's job is to make those roster moves because the players are too close to it and have those tight personal relationships and can't have an unbiased opinion of when a player's holding on for too long.
Right.
Same thing with coaches. Like, we watched that, documentary with Michael Jordan. I hate to keep going back to the basketball thing, but about them having to keep him off the court so that he doesn't break his foot again in the early 80s to compete for like a meaningless bottom feeder playoff spot. So it's like, the coaches and the GMs, like their job is to keep these hyper competitive guys from getting too emotional and too attached to the players around them and to the decisions around them. And similarly in that documentary, Jordan was upset that they got rid of Charles Oakley, but then that's when they turned the corner and started winning championships. So
yeah. So again, like you keep hearing these conflicting stories. Well, like why is Aaron Rodgers so upset? Oh, it's the fact that they drafted Jordan Love, and then someone else is like, no, it's not about Jordan Love. It's about when he said that he liked Jordy, and then they cut Jordy, and then someone goes, no, that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that he's asked for more money or more say in the front office, and he's not getting that. Or no, he's not asking for more. He's just saying he wants to be more involved, and they're not letting him be more involved. So you keep hearing like all these kind of random stories about like what is it? Is it a combination of all these things? Is it just is it one thing that's gotten to him? And then some people are just like, oh well, a lot of changes happened for Aaron Rodgers this offseason. He got engaged and all this. Like I have no idea if it's on any of that personal crap or it's the fact that he can't seem to get over that NFC Championship hump, and he thinks maybe he can do it somewhere else. I have no idea. The fact of the matter is, you hear it from one team. Oh, you hear it from one source. Oh, they didn't give him enough receivers when he's always had a couple. At least one really good receiver. And then I heard from another source. Well, they've always given him a good receiver, a good back, but they never put a good defense around him. The one year that he ended up in the Super Bowl was the only year he's played with a top 5 defense. Well, you can't do everything, If a team can put you the best receivers around you, the best defense around you, and then that's when you go, win. It's like, okay,
they're not really that good anyway. Most quarterbacks could win with a really good wide receiver core and one of the top 5 defenses. Top 5 defenses with no offense make it pretty deep in the playoffs sometimes.
So yeah, I'm thinking that he's just kind of throwing a fit to throw a fit. I hope they don't get this thing figured out, and I hope he either retires, sits out, gets traded, or something. But I don't know. From a pessimistic side, I feel like they're eventually going to get it, worked out, and he's going to come back next year with even more of like a chip on his shoulder and probably play well again next year. But what do you guys think? Do you think he's gone? You think he's staying, or what do you
There's
guys think?
I
been
don't know. I think he'll play one more year. I don't know. I see, like, part of it is when he loses to Tom Brady too, and Brady probably can't play forever. Then again, I don't know. Maybe he could. But part of me thinks like it would be dumb to retire before Tom Brady retires. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Sure.
He seems so frustrated. I think he's got to move. Look at Brady's been able to move, and people were saying, Brady's done, he's toast, and then he goes to a new team and he wins immediately. Maybe that's all Aaron Rodgers needs. It's just a new scenery.
And from a Bears perspective, I would love that. What do you think,
Yeah,
Rich?
I
You
mean,
think
and that's
he's
certainly.
I mean,
Fine.
if they trade Aaron Rodgers, please go to the AFC because
right?
stay
I
away from the NFC.
I think
But
they would. I think as a Packers GM, you
yeah,
wouldn't want to keep him in the conference or in the division. I think if it was a trade situation, they would, hand him to an AFC team. And the team
yeah.
that I keep hearing come up is actually,
Denver.
yeah, Denver. Denver, I think, makes the most amount of sense for him. They still have an okay defensive core.
The
I
receivers are good.
Right. Yeah, they have a good receiver. They have a couple good receivers. They really struggled at quarterback. Everyone kind of thought they were going to draft a quarterback this year, even after, drafting one last year, then picking up Teddy Bridgewater. They ignored, the quarterback position. So a lot of people took that as a sign that they were still trying to work something out to acquire Aaron Rodgers. And like the sneaky, weird kind of other thing that's going on there, I believe his fiance like has a house in Denver or something. And they're like, oh, like he can be close to her and whatever. Plus, he's going to continue, well, he hopes to continue hosting Jeopardy every once in a while. So I think the thought there is obviously that's slightly closer to like Los Angeles than Green Bay is.
Yeah. Well,
So
A lot of good breweries in Denver too, and he's kind of more
there
of a
is.
sipping beer drinker than a chugging beer drinker. So I think he might do well with some like slow burn like IPAs.
sure.
Maybe
That
that's
is very true. My take on Aaron Rodgers, just the whole thing, is it still also does not make a lot of sense to trade Aaron Rodgers too, because the Packers are going to take such a huge cap hit as well, even if they trade him, because there's going to be millions of dollars in dead money. So I don't see Aaron Rodgers being moved this year, where I think the Packers are just going to call his bluff, like retire then. He retires, Packers lose no money at all. So then
Yeah, but I think Rich, the thing is they can afford a
it's
cap
just,
hit this year if they can get a bunch of picks and stuff. They don't have a lot of
yeah.
money elsewhere outside of Rodgers. I mean, they're not paying Jordan Love anything yet. And if you can get 3 first-round picks for a 37-year-old Rodgers at this point to a team like Denver, I would probably make that move. I would have
I don't know,
definitely
dude. That would make Denver a playoff team. 3 first-round picks,
in
yeah,
that
that's like
division.
cool and all, but now you're going to be picking in the 20s,
That's
though.
still a tough division though to
It
even make the
is.
playoffs in. So I don't know. I think it's a possibility. I wouldn't say it's a definite thing by any means, but I wouldn't be completely shocked at this point, especially if he's threatening to retire or sit out or something. Again, if the player's not going to play for you anyway, if you can pick up 3 first-round picks or something like that, then I would definitely do it. I think it would be if that one trade was legit that, they talked about during the draft of that 49ers off the number 3 pick, a 4th round pick, and then 2 more first round picks in the next couple of drafts, and the Packers denied that trade.
They should have did
That was
that.
absolutely stupid, asinine of them. The number 3 overall pick this year, they could add their selection of a bunch of quarterbacks or traded back or something like that, and then first round picks in the next couple of years to a 49ers team. I definitely would have taken that 100% for 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers. No doubt in my mind. I don't care if, if Aaron Rodgers, you can promise me that he's going to be at MVP level for the next 5 years, I still would have taken that deal.
Well, maybe it's time for him to move on, and it's certainly time for us to move on too, because we've spent a solid amount of time on this. Speaking of, retirement and Aaron Rodgers possibly retiring, one of our favorite Chicago Blackhawks has retired. Adam, fill us in, man. You've been our resident Blackhawks guy all year. How do you feel about this? I'm a bit saddened myself, but it's probably
yeah, definitely a sad day. Andrew Shaw retiring. He is kind of during those playoff runs and stuff, he was kind of that life force of the team. Even if he wasn't putting up major numbers and all that, he was always one that would drop the gloves or do something crazy that would kind of spark this team to kind of do some good things for being a kind of a small guy. Right, yeah, for being a small guy, he definitely packed a punch for this team, and it's going to be really sad to see him go, but I understand that it's a medical situation that multiple doctors, so not even one doctor, have now told him that if he gets another concussion, it could be very detrimental to his health. So
he did take that puck to the face for us, and for that we are eternally grateful.
Yeah, I mean, the play that comes to my mind, and it didn't even count as a goal, the time where the puck went up in the air and he headers the puck into the net was not only great athletic skill for him, but just dedication and just an amazing way to get the puck in the net. And then obviously because he headed it in and didn't go off the stick.
That is such a dumb rule. Did they change that after that play, or is that
they have not? That's still the rule.
That's so dumb. You think they would change that? I understand waving it off because it's technically illegal at the time, but the fact, like, that was such an exciting play. Wouldn't you want to see more of that? I guess they probably don't want guys leaving their feet with blades on their feet. It's maybe not smart from a detrimental injury standpoint, and also guys going head first for the puck's probably not smart either. But I don't know. Whatever. Hockey's dangerous enough already. That play was amazing. Great point. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. That was a great point.
That literally still to this day is one of my favorite all-time Hawks moments in my entire life. And didn't even count as a goal. So that just kind of speaks to the
cool. I remember seeing that.
Bullshit.
That speaks to the type of person Andrew Shaw was. He did a really cool kind of dedication to Chicago, and I have a lot of respect for him for walking away for the reasons that he did, because he does have a family and a wife and a child and all that. And, at some point in time, everyone has to do kind of what's best for their body. And I kind of hope that he kind of hangs around as, an analyst or,
he would be a perfect local broadcast guy, because he's got that perfect level of fame where he's not too famous to be on the other lucrative things or have too much money to not need that gig. But he's perfect level of famous where the local fans would know him. Yeah.
He definitely, if I had to pick
kind of guy,
if I had to pick like one Hawks player type of guy to kind of hang out with from all time, he would definitely be in the top 5 of my list. He seems like a fun person to be around and stuff. I would love to hang out with that guy. So
speaking of hanging out recreationally, the Hawks and the Bulls guys probably heading to the golf course. It'd be pretty fun to go golfing with them. Their seasons are kind of wrapping up here.
Definitely. Took a turn for the worst in the second half of the season for both those teams. That at one point in time, going into the season, a lot of people didn't have high hopes for either team, and they kind of did a lot of things to impress me during the season. And then lately, they've really kind of dropped the ball a little bit, as I'd say. But like I said, there's a couple things looking forward to kind of say, okay, at least they did a couple of these things good. But it looks like they're all but out at this point. So we're moving on. And for once, I could actually say that the Bears did something that we liked, and the Hawks and the Bulls are moving the opposite direction. It seems like it was a lot of the opposite for much of this year, I guess.
So my question with the Hawks and the Bulls, with both of them obviously pretty much played themselves out of any type of playoff contention here. With both of them, what's like the biggest improvements that they need? Do we need better players? Do they just need to gel better together with the rosters that we have? Or does there need to be some type of like coaching change? Or what's your thoughts on like what kind of needs to take either team to the next level, I guess.
Adam, do you want to go first? Otherwise, I have something in mind for the Bulls at least.
Oh, you can go ahead on the Bulls, and then I'll kind of add my comments on that as well.
Sort of touched on this, but I think the Bulls' biggest problem, and it's funny we didn't see this coming because the reason the Celtics made this move is because they were having a similar problem. I think we're trying to play Daniel Tice and Vucevic on the floor too much together. They're both centers. Like Daniel Tice is maybe 6'7", 6'8", but he's really a center. And playing him at power forward wasn't working in Boston. That's why they moved on from him. Certainly not because he's a bad player, because he's a good player. But I just don't think that pairing works in the front court. And as much as I like Daniel Tice, I can't see them turning around and getting rid of Vucevic. So I think Daniel Tice, they might have to move, or they'll keep him coming off the bench, and they'll have to package Thaddeus Young and Lauri Markkanen for some type of a power forward that can be more of a defensive anchor, that's quick enough to guard some of those undersized power forwards that would have been small forwards when we were watching the game growing up. But we need kind of a guy that's sort of a small forward, power forward hybrid in this kind of small ball basketball type of an era who can, stay in front of people on the perimeter and still, defend well, but not be, getting completely dominated on the boards and like inside and stuff against those bigger front lines like the Lakers and Bucks and stuff.
Sure, yeah, I think you make a point. I don't mind seeing them on the floor at the same time. I know your feelings about Tice being a center. I think he actually impressed me when he was out there playing power forward. For a big guy, for playing that center, was able to keep his feet and stay in front of people defensively. And he's one of the guys that was actually playing defense since we acquired him.
He does defend, yeah, which is a shame, yeah.
So that's something I really, really like to see out of him. But to answer your question a little bit further, Rich, in my opinion, I think we need a point guard that's more stable with the ball. Someone, even if he's not in the starting lineup, someone that can come off the bench and really calm the kind of younger guys down and know where to go with the ball and make the smart basketball play. I think Sato was trying to kind of be that role, and I don't think he was good enough at it, to be honest. I think we need an upgrade there.
What about Rondo? Would Rondo be a good fit for the Bulls, or is he just straight up championship or?
That type of a player, though, Rich, like somebody with that level of experience, who's comfortable in a bench role. Yeah, sure. I mean, a guy, Minnesota has Ricky Rubio. I think he would kind of fit in on our team, honestly. He doesn't fit in super well in Minnesota because they have such a deep guard rotation. But like Adam said, we need a player who's kind of a veteran who can come off the bench. You can put him around stars, and he's a good enough shooter to play off the ball or make plays for others. But you could also put him out there with little to no offense, and he can create plays and direct the offense for the younger guys and stuff. So I think a guy like that would be good.
Yeah, not a guy that we ever have a chance of acquiring, but a guy that I would, that I think would really fill that role perfectly would be a guy like Chris Paul. So we can find like a Chris Paul, a perfect passer, but has the ability to score as well. That's the type of player. And then I think also you kind of touched on it too, Rich, just getting gelling a little bit more. Obviously down the stretch, Zach LaVine missed a bunch of games. We had a couple injuries throughout the season. So I think just playing together more, that helps defensively for sure. Is like knowing what the guy next to you is going to do is really big for defense. So I think this offseason is going to be big with just kind of getting to know who's next to you and then taking that next step forward. And then, like I said, the point guard position, I think that would really solidify this team. And I'm going to say it right now, but I'd be surprised if this Bulls team can't make the playoffs next year. I think a lot of people are in the right spot. So I think like a 6th or 7th seed is definitely possible next year. As far as the Blackhawks go, again, we had a ton of injuries this year. Obviously, Jonathan Toews didn't play, 1 minute out there with that kind of weird injury or illness that he had going on. Kirby Dach missed about half the season, and then we have a bunch of young players again. And we made a lot of trades at the deadline. So getting those players kind of acclimated and these young players kind of taking one more step forward and kind of gelling with each other, I think that'd be big for that team as well. Lankinen really stepped up this year. If he can take another step forward and really solidify, not letting those easy goals go in. he does a great job of getting the tough ones, but it seems like every game he's letting an easy one go by. If we can work on that, I think they can also still be that playoff contending team. I don't know if there's going to be a Stanley Cup championship within the next couple of years, but I think they can definitely contend if they kind of
Wait,
together
there's
kind
no
of take enough.
Stanley Cup this year?
No, I'm saying
No,
for the Hawks. I don't.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
Whoosh.
When did that happen?
One of your best podcast blunders of all time, Rich.
I think
Well, I don't know, man. It's like COVID and stuff.
They're
I don't
just
know what
calling it
sports are
off.
doing.
They're done.
I mean,
Hockey's
each
done.
league,
it's not a sport
like,
anymore, dude. They're
shit.
done with it.
But
They're
yeah, I
just
don't
gonna play
think.
some preseason games for fun and call it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind weighing in if we've got time for this segment real quick.
Of course
yeah,
we do.
definitely.
I'm going to totally contradict you, Adam. I think that what the Hawks need to do next year is, one, something that I say every year that I know they're not going to do. So this will be quick, and then I'll get to my real reason or real way I think they should move forward next year. But I think they should go after some elite defenseman, try to make some type of a trade or get some type of a star veteran defenseman who's maybe in the prime of their career. I don't know how easy that is to do. So if they're unable to do that, I think they need to just move on from Patrick Kane and just rebuild. I think it's time. Like, I think the best path forward for us is to just be really bad, find new franchise players. We think about kind of the glory days of our team, and we built it through the draft. And I think, I've seen teams in other sports do this where they hang on to the familiar faces. Some of these guys themselves are starting to even throw in the towel. Shaw is retiring. I'm sure a lot of our other familiar Blackhawks faces will start to do the same. And I think it's time to just rebuild this thing. Like, I don't see that the victory lap is kind of over, in my opinion. I have the utmost respect to these players that, help bring cups to Chicago, but I think they're done, and I think the team's done, and I think the fan base is done, and it's time to just rebuild. And I'd love to see those guys back, like you mentioned with Shaw, in some other capacity as assistant coaches or talent development or, as broadcasters or something, and they'll always be part of the Hawks family, but I think it's time to rebuild.
I think it'll be interesting to see when Duncan Keith goes, because I think when he retires,
He's the first one that needs to go.
I don't see him retiring, but or I don't see him getting traded or anything. But I think when he retires, that's going to be kind of the mark of that group kind of going, the Stanley Cup guys. So yeah, I definitely think Duncan Keith at one point in time was kind of the lodestone of the team, if you will. But yeah, he's clearly taken a couple of steps back. Still one of the better defenders on the team, but
I think Kane still has value, and it could be a quicker rebuild if we're able to trade him for some picks or something, and then get a couple players in the next couple drafts that are very high picks in the draft and just kind of rebuild from scratch. I don't know. I don't want to wait any longer because, Patrick Kane was still a fairly elite player, but that's not going to last a whole lot longer, and we've got to kind of trade him while we can, in my opinion.
Sure.
So, I don't know. Kind of a downer take, but I think that's honestly what we need to do to move forward. Like, that's what we should be doing next year. I think it's time.
I'm a fan of that as well. Trade big star players before they start getting bad. Get as much value as you can.
I typically like that, and I just can't. I can't get myself on board with that with the Hawks. I think at this point, I can't do it at this point in my life.
I've just seen other franchises that I'm not as close to do it. Like when I was away at school, I came to Michigan to go to CMU during when the Pistons were kind of going through that era. And it was just kind of sad to watch. It's like, dude, Tayshaun Prince is done, Like, I know the fans love him. He won a championship there. But it's like, get this guy out of here, It's time to move on. And it was – once they started doing that, they've kind of turned a corner there for a little bit. And now they're kind of stumbling again. But still, I think it was just – it was a waste of everyone's time.
Speaking of trading or getting rid of players – the Bears finally got rid of Charles freaking Leno, which at the same time, if we would have got rid of his dumbass and Jimmy, I don't want to run in the middle of the field, Graham, we could have kept Kyle Fuller. Dumb Bears, but we at least got rid of Leno. Super happy about that.
Yeah, I definitely like the move releasing Leno, and I think that kind of points to the fact that Tevin Jenkins probably will be our starting left tackle this year, and who knows, maybe we'll see Larry Borom slide into that right tackle position. A lot of people think that if he's going to be starting this year, it's going to be at guard because that's kind of the easier transition for a player like that. But I think he has that right tackle potential. I think he can be better than Massey's been. And I definitely think Tevin Jenkins is going to fill in much better than Leno ever did. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see this move. It saves us like I think 8 million in cap space. But we're still pretty strapped for cash, Rich. I don't know if we would have been able to keep Kyle Fuller even without him and Jimmy Graham.
Well, I was going to say, when we originally released Kyle Fuller, let him go, it saved us, I think it was like, I want to say it was like 8 or 9 million in cap space. If we would have got rid of Leno and Jimmy Graham, releasing both of those guys should have saved us around, I want to say, 10 to 11 million, releasing both of those. So with that being said, releasing both of those guys to keep like a Kyle Fuller, I think would have been way better than just getting rid of Kyle Fuller. We released Leno anyways, so trimming that extra, I think Jimmy Graham cutting him's like 7 to 8 million just by himself.
Yeah, but we had to do
In
that move to
general.
sign the players that we just drafted, Rich. Going into the draft, we only
Okay.
still had
Yeah.
like $1 million. We have to sign all the players that we just drafted. That's why we cut him.
Okay.
Was not.
Ugh,
We still don't have a whole lot of room
Jesus.
after signing our
Yeah.
people that we're drafting. So,
Okay. That
yeah,
makes more sense on the money talk. I'm just pissed we got rid of Kyle Fuller when we could
same.
have got rid of a scrub like Leno and a scrub like Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
So,
speaking about a
Um,
Graham though, I think that Thomas Graham, senior, the 6th round corner from Oregon, I believe, that's a sneaky good pick. At one point in time, a guy that was considered last year, considered probably a 2nd or 3rd round talent. We got him in the 6th round, so I'm hoping he fills in nicely as kind of that slot corner, or maybe playing on the outside. Actually, friend of Jalen Johnson, the corner that we drafted last year, who really played well. So those two have been going against each other for a while. So I like hearing those stories, and I hope he can really fill in there.
yeah.
Guys, overall, I saw some draft grades for us. I think it was maybe ESPN I saw on Instagram, but somebody gave us a B plus in the draft, and I was even reading the comments because I'm pretty biased and pretty uninformed about how anything other than the first round went as sort of a casual fan. But even people in the comments were saying, "Wow, that's pretty harsh on the Bears." Even people that were fans of other teams in our division thought that we did a lot better than that, and we deserve maybe an A minus or an A. What would you guys grade our draft overall?
I would
Uh,
say I would go with like B plus, maybe A minus. I'm still not a big fan of giving away all those draft picks. Like even trading up for Justin Fields. I love that move. Justin Fields was my second best quarterback that I thought was in the draft this year. So trading up for him, I definitely enjoyed, but did you really have to give a first? Couldn't you shop a second or a third with some back ends rounds there? Or like, did we really have to give another first round pick away on that? Where
yeah,
it feels the same way with the other moving up in the second as well. Like, couldn't we give a little bit more of our back end of our draft away instead of always front loading our giveaways?
Yeah, I think Rich, the biggest problem around that was pretty much the fact of us releasing a statement, essentially saying if he falls to a certain number, we're moving up, and we'll give away the world to get him. Was this obviously not word for word what we've said, but that's definitely how we came off. Is if he falls to a certain level, we're okay giving away almost anything. So teams take advantage of that. So I really do think the Giants, who we traded up with, our David Gettleman has never traded back in a draft ever before, and he traded back twice in this draft. So similar to Ryan Pace is a guy that typically will trade up, not back. So I think we really kind of had to sweeten the deal with them. So I see why they had to give away so much. I don't think the Giants would have taken any less. But yeah, I would definitely go with an A minus just because of the amount of draft capital that we had to give away, not only in this draft but in next year's draft. I think we're already a first and a fourth short for next year with all the trades that we pulled in this draft. I think if you looked at the players, I would give us a straight A. But then when you look at, all the draft capital that we also lost in next year's draft, I think I have to drop that to an A minus.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, then I guess I feel good about what I think. I don't know. I agree with Adam. I think it's an A minus draft. I mean, I think even that first round pick alone is huge for the franchise and just the fan base that was just getting a little restless. So I don't know.
Gets everyone excited. So
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of getting excited, you guys excited for the NBA playoffs? Or I know I'm ready for the regular season to be done. I'm currently getting crushed in the fantasy basketball championship.
I agree.
In the league that I'm in because none of these players are playing or carrying right now. So you guys want to talk playoff picture a little bit? If you'll see in column D of our spreadsheet that none of our listeners can see at home, I put the laziest link of all time. It's a Google search result for the NBA standings, but you can actually view them in this nice little hub from NBA.com without having to go to the website. Basically, how the playoff picture is shaken out for those who are unaware. Instead of just the top 8 seeds from each conference this year, they're actually going to delve down into the 10 seed in each conference and do a little play-in tournament, which will be interesting because they dabbled with this a little bit last year. This year, I don't know. I guess it was a unanimous vote I heard. I'm not sure how that is. With 72 games being played, that's only 10 less than a regular season, and we've done lockout seasons and not had to stoop to this, level of a play-in tournament. So it's a bit of a weird move, and it's actually upset LeBron James of all people as of late. He was a bit irate after the loss to the Raptors, who are trying to climb into that 10th seed in the East. And LeBron said that whoever came up with this shit should be fired, close quote. Guys, how do you feel about that? Do you think, LeBron's being dramatic just because he's in that position to where his team's got to worry about that? Or do you think the plan-is a little bit ridiculous?
I think it's I'm going to cut you off. I normally don't talk a lot about basketball here, so this is my random basketball take on this. I feel like I feel like LeBron James is being a little bit like Aaron Rodgers, being a little bit of a diva right now. Like, while he was a top seed, it's like, oh yeah, totally love this because like
that's true.
He knows
did love it last year.
Yeah, loved it last year because he knows that's like easy wins. You're the number 1 seed facing the number 9 or 10 seed in the playoffs.
Plus, they just are coming off of playoff caliber games and using all of their energy just to get there. And then, come in and they made quick work of the Blazers, who really had to grind in the bubble, and they beat them in 5 games. They lost game 1 because the Blazers were a little warmed up, but then the fatigue set in and they completely locked up Damian Lillard and won easily. So I agree, Rich. Sorry to cut you off just to fill those in at home.
So
You're totally right.
So like I said, like I just feel that's like LeBron's just like, because he's like, they've said it multiple times, he's the ambassador of the NBA. Whatever he says that gets like the most traction. So he likes it because it benefits him. Now he doesn't like it because it kind of doesn't benefit him. Like, he doesn't want to be a bottom seed and immediately have to go play the best team when he's coming off of injury. He wants like some type of break. He wants to play one of those middle teams. He wants to warm up before immediately playing that top seed. So I feel that's like total like hypocrite right there, and him just trying to like get people on his side because he has the most followers, most media thing, whatever LeBron says. It's like, ooh, that's like solid gold. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is about the players, that get their dick sucked most by the media have to be the players that always have to, be the diva. Aaron Rodgers, I've never seen a media, even more so than Tom Brady, who has all those Super Bowls, suck the dick of Aaron Rodgers on
They
every
love him. That
on
is true.
every
He doesn't have the
single.
resume of Brady, and they like him more, arguably.
I mean, you're not even watching a Packers game. It could be, Jets,
Right.
Jaguars, and they're talking about Aaron Rodgers and how good he is. And I'm like, okay, well, like, can we talk about someone that's in this game? And it's the same thing for LeBron. I'm
Yeah.
watching the Bulls game, who don't play the Lakers all that often this year, and
Yeah.
LeBron gets brought up like more nights than not. And I get it; he's a great player, one of the best for sure in the NBA right now. We all know, or we all on this podcast know, that not as good as Michael Jordan ever was, but certainly,
Preach.
certainly in the conversation for one of the best players of all
Oh,
time, for
easily a
sure.
top 3 to 4 player of all time.
So I don't understand why a player that gets talked about that much, has to kind of keep his name talked about all the time by, yeah, like Rich said, just being a diva. Shut up and do your job, play basketball, and then, win games. That's all you have to do. That's what you get paid to do. I don't need to hear you talk constantly and then support something when it benefits you and then not support it when it doesn't benefit you. It's like, man, you get paid millions of dollars to throw a ball in a hoop. Aaron Rodgers, you get paid millions of dollars to throw the ball through the air. Just shut up and do your job, and let us as fans enjoy watching you play the game, not opening your mouth.
Wow, it was quite a hostile take. I can't say that I don't at least somewhat agree, but I'm going to shock you guys. You guys know I'm a Michael Jordan fan till I die. I'm a big LeBron James critic. I will agree that his take is incredibly hypocritical. I don't know if he would be saying this if he was leading the standings like he was last year. He'd probably be saying just the opposite, praising how good it is for the league, for more teams to have exposure, whatever, BS ambassador, I think was the word Rich used, stuff that you'd usually expect from him. But I got to say, this play-in tournament is kind of garbage, and I'll tell you why. Of course, the bottom teams are going to be the ones that are going to get, kind of all the flack for complaining about how stupid it is. Mark Cuban mentioned that it was a huge mistake, him being the owner of the Mavericks and being one of the obviously unanimous votes to do this play-in. His team's down in 6th place right now and in danger of falling to that 7th seed and being in that tournament. It's a little bit biased from him too. But hear me out. This isn't really good for the top seeds in the conferences either, because if you're a 3, 4, 5, or 6 seed, when the play-in tournament starts, you have all that time throughout the duration of the play-in tournament to start scouting your opponent. You know exactly who you're going to play. If the Nuggets are playing the Mavs, they can start game planning for how they're going to guard Luka in the pick and roll, and they can start practicing with who they're facing in mind. Whereas if you're the Jazz or the Suns atop the standings, you don't know who you're going to face. So although it might be easier for some of these teams, the Grizzlies, maybe the Spurs, the Golden State Warriors are down here in 8th. The Portland Trailblazers are in 7th. The Lakers might fall in there. The Mavericks might fall in there. Those are legit teams that, even top seeds will be afraid to play. And you could see some upsets even from these top teams. I'm surprised you're not hearing complaints from the Jazz or the Suns because, it seems like a great place to be most years. But this year, not being able to know your first-round opponent and then finding out with shorter notice that you're going to be facing the Warriors in the first round or something, I mean, that's not exactly an advantage. You have more of an advantage being in 3rd place where Denver currently sits than being in 1st place, in my opinion. And, I don't know. I think, and in LeBron's defense, he might want to fall to the bottom of the standings this year because if you look at the middle of the standings, I think those are stronger teams than at the top of the standings. The Jazz and the Suns, although they're nice teams, they're still kind of young. They're up and coming. Other than Chris Paul, the Suns have 0 playoff experience. The Jazz lost in the first round last year. I think they are making a leap forward. They definitely have some playoff experience, but definitely not a team that's as scary to face as the Nuggets or the Clippers. So, I mean, in LeBron's defense, I think he's a total hypocrite. But just to kind of wrap up my rant here, I think it does sort of put the teams at the top of the standings at a disadvantage too. And it's just weird all around. It'll be fun to have some more high-stakes basketball, get some teams that would normally miss the playoffs some playoff-esque experience, but it is bizarre, and I could see players not wanting it or not being a fan of it, and I personally hope they don't do it next year.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, Austin, but in my opinion, I don't think you hear stuff from the Jazz and the Suns because they're looking at it saying we got to just, win games. That's all they have to do.
Just
They have
wait
to
though.
they
Like
have to do their job and
if
win
they
games, and,
if
and that's
the
it.
if the Jazz and the Suns draw like the Warriors in the first round and lose, and everyone's making fun of them on the internet because they lost to an 8 seed or something, you'll hear them probably complain a little bit.
The,
They won't be super thrilled.
the
So,
fact of the
and it could
matter
happen.
is, in that conference, any of those teams can beat the 1, 2, 3 seed. Any of those teams. So
I
I
agree.
don't think
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with a play-in tournament or not a play-in tournament. I think as a basketball team, you have to, do your job and win the games, regardless of who you're playing. And I like it as a fan, just saying, yeah, more playoff basketball, give more teams a shot. Maybe a team that struggled early on and now has, the chance to go out there and prove that they can win in the playoffs. I think
It's
more
true.
power to them. I liked when they added that extra team to the NFL playoffs, just because teams like from the NFC East were getting in with losing records, and they were cutting out a wild card team that might have gone 10-6 and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Give that team that deserves to be in there even more a chance to prove why they were winning all those games. Just like in the
See?
NBA, if the team's good enough to win the first round of the playoffs or win in a play-in tournament, then they're proving to everyone that they deserve to be there. And that's it. That's end
That's
of
a
the
good
story for
point.
me.
You look out east, the Washington Wizards are red hot. Westbrook's playing out of his mind. Obviously a change of scenery for him, and there were some growing pains figuring that out, some health issues. They traded for our former Chicago Bull, Daniel Gafford, who I was
Mhm.
hoping we'd keep. And now they're clicking on all cylinders. They're coming in. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Pacers and the Hornets, meanwhile, are 4-6 in their last 10, falling out. So normally this time of year, you'd be saying, oh man, it's a shame that team's going to miss out on the 8th seed, but they're red hot. Whereas you've got these teams that are cooling off that are just going to get obliterated in the first round and, sort of don't really belong there. So I don't know. It is kind of cool. I definitely see as a fan, it's exciting. But I understand why players would be frustrated because,
Sure.
it's a bit annoying. But it is cool to see the hottest teams in the league that are maybe in that limbo space where they're caught between being in the lottery and being in the playoffs. And normally that's such a frustrating place to be. But there's actually some incentive to climb into those seeds, whereas
Right.
normally it just turns into a tank battle. The Raptors and the Wizards would be trying to out tank one another to fall into one of the bottom seeds in the East. And that would be terrible to watch. So at least we're seeing some competition and some teams like still competing. So as a
Yeah.
fan, it's great, but as a player, I could see the
So
frustration.
So
I just want to say real quick, I'm going to definitely chime in on this one. So with this is what I'm hearing is huge bonus for the fans. Players don't like it. Who pays your salary? The fans. Give us more playoff games.
yeah,
You don't like it,
And
then I don't know what to tell you.
don't play.
And it's not like they didn't sit out a lot of games. A lot of these players are saying, like, oh, it's more high level basketball we're going to have to play. It adds mileage to the season. It's like, if you actually played 85 to 90% of the season anyway, I would maybe side with you there. But, a lot of these guys are resting, and like, LeBron James is in one breath complaining that he's falling into the playoff tournament or the play-in tournament possibly, and that it's such a bad idea. By the same token, he's about to miss his second straight game with a sore ankle tonight. And it's like,
Mhm.
I get that he's, over the hill and he's definitely getting older and trying to rest himself for a long playoff run. But come on, man, it's a sore ankle and you're not willing to play these games. You can either play these regular season games now that'll probably be a lot easier on your body, or your team very well might lose, and then you'll have to play games that are much harder on your body. But either way, you're going to be playing some games, no matter how it shakes out, unless they're able to cling to this 5th or 6th seed. But it's really close.
Yeah,
Trailblazers are only a game back of the Lakers at 7 there.
I think for me it comes down to choices, and all the players have a choice, right? If they don't like how the league is run, they don't like that, then don't play. LeBron James has the option to retire after every season or mid-season if he doesn't like how it's ran. then he doesn't have to play. But if you want to continue to make millions of dollars throwing a ball through a hoop, then, the league has to make those choices.
All
And,
jobs are stupid when it all comes down to
yeah.
it. There's very
You know,
few that are essential.
you go out and you get paid to do a job. I don't go into work and complain about how my company is run. So,
Dude, I complain all the time about how my shit.
Oh, sure, but I mean,
problem is LeBron is irreplaceable, and no offense, we are just regular replaceable people. That's why we vent on this podcast.
So I guess before we continue to go down this rabbit hole, who do you guys got in the finals? Who your team from the East versus your team in the West, and who wins it? Austin, you can start.
You want me to start? Okay.
Yeah.
I think in the East it'll be the Brooklyn Nets. I think James Harden's going to get back in there. You're going to start seeing that team at their best. They're even better with James Harden in there, and just incredibly loaded team. I can't see them not getting by the Bucks and the Sixers.
Sure.
They might give up a lot of points, but I just don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them. They're just such an offensive juggernaut that I can't see them not coming out of the East. As far as the West is concerned, it's a lot more open. I really need to see how the rest of this week plays out. If the season ended right now and the Lakers were in fifth, I think they'd be fine. They would have probably their hardest matchup of the Western Conference end of the playoffs would be in the first round, which would kind of suck. They'd be playing the Clippers. But I don't know if they fall into that play-in situation and they have to play extra games. They've got players with nagging injuries. LeBron's aging. Honestly, crazier things have happened, but you could see an upset maybe. So I don't know. I think the Lakers, but watch out for the Clippers. I think, they made some mistakes last year and obviously choked in the eyes of many, and myself included. And I feel really dumb for believing in them again. But, I don't believe in the Jazz and the Suns. I think they're too inexperienced, and I think it's going to show come playoff time. Jamal Murray going down makes me not believe in the Nuggets. And I think it's going to be Lakers or Clippers coming out of the West. And I think it could be the Clippers. I think they could shock everybody this year.
All right, Rich, who do you got? Is Rich there?
Hey, Rich.
Oh,
we're still doing
yeah.
a pod.
Okay, sorry. I forgot to turn my mute thing back on. So
Okay, rookie mistake.
So, rookie
Should we even
mistake.
believe what he says?
Rookie mistake at
Oh
pod
my
11.
gosh. Is
My
this your
bad,
first
my bad.
pod?
Sounds like it.
Welcome
But
to the
All
next
right.
man up. This is our guest, Rich.
Yeah. I mean, I should be considered a guest at this point.
All right.
So, anyways, Eastern Conference. I'm gonna go Bucks. I think Milwaukee's finally gonna take that step forward. I think
I
that
can see it. They're my
defense.
second team.
I think that defense is gonna kind of. They're not gonna completely shut down the Nets.
They
Nets
have
is
the
like
personality
high
to
power. Nets are high power offense, but at the same time, Nets defense is, I feel, kind of lazy. They kind of don't get it done.
Giannis ate them up earlier this week.
I think Milwaukee's gonna take advantage of that and really get up on them in the first couple games. Where I don't know how the Nets are gonna respond to going down a game or two. So that'll be interesting. In the Western Conference, I don't know. I'm feeling the Suns. I think the Suns are gonna pull this off. They got a really good team. I'm a huge fan of Chris Paul. He's on the Suns, right? Please say he's on the Suns.
Yes.
Okay,
You're killing
good.
it, Rich.
Yeah, all right, cool. There we go. Yeah.
These
Hey,
are great takes.
I'm just making sure.
Oh,
I think
boy.
the Suns are finally
He
gonna.
was on a roll.
I think the Suns are gonna pull it off with
Dude,
Chris Paul.
I hate the Suns, but they have been playing super well. They could shock me.
Chris Paul finally deserves to make it to the finals and stuff. LeBron and AD, injured Riddle, Clippers overrated. I think it's time to get some a fresh team in there. I think it'll be good. So I'm going Suns in Milwaukee.
All right. Well, I guess we're all starting with the East, and I've been saying Nets all year, and I think you went with Nets, Austin. So I'm not going to go with them, but I'm going to go with the 76ers then, because that's a lockdown defense, and like we have all kind of brought up, the Nets defense is so bad. They just don't even try. I feel they're that offensive juggernaut, but I don't think they match up well versus the 76ers, because the 76ers, if they're healthy, can lock down any team. And I don't know how healthy the Nets can stay.
all three of those guys
Yeah.
better than anyone else in the league could. He's got a better chance of covering any of them than anyone else would.
Right, and
they have no answer for Embiid inside. They have no center they can.
And I'm concerned.
Maybe, but yeah.
I'm concerned about the Nets, even though they've rested a lot this year. I'm concerned about the Nets' ability to stay healthy throughout the playoffs with KD and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with a surprise pick. Even though they're first, I still feel like it's a surprise pick, and I'm going to go with the 76ers based on defense pretty much alone. Going over to the Western Conference, if Jamal Murray doesn't get hurt, I was going to go with the Nuggets here.
I really like how they're playing.
I've been really liking how they're playing. I think the Joker is an MVP candidate, but losing Jamal Murray, I think, really hurts their chances. So I think I am. Yeah, it almost sounds stupid to me, but I think I'm going to go with the Clippers.
I feel stupid saying it too, dude, but I really think they are. I think the Lakers are going to have an injury issue that's going to derail them. I think the Nuggets already had their injury issue, and I don't believe in the experience of the Jazz and the Suns. So I feel dumb too, but I'll go down with the ship with you, dude.
I think Kawhi, like in general, he has that where he kicks into another gear in the playoffs, and I think we're gonna see that this year. Another lockdown defender, and I think as it stands right now, I think the Lakers would struggle getting past the Clippers and the rest of the team. Yeah, it's experience, and then teams that are a little bit banged up. So I don't really see anyone being able to take the Clippers out in like a 7-game series. I guess, it's weird, but I think the Jazz, and to me, if they get past the Lakers, would probably have the best shot at it. But yeah, I'm going to stick with the Clippers on that.
I do like the Jazz's defense. I don't know. I think the Jazz this is going to be a great year for them. I think they have a chance at a championship one day, honestly, because I'm thinking about it, man. Like when LeBron retires, and if this Clippers thing doesn't last for much longer, I think the Jazz almost beat the Nuggets last year. A lot of people think the Nuggets are going to be that team that kind of comes in as the new age like contender for the 2020s. But I think it could be the Jazz, dude. Donovan Mitchell's the real deal. Rudy Gobert is so good. He's an interior defender. And they've got some other weapons around the perimeter shooting the ball now to where it's just their defense and offense looks good now. And it's hard to see this not being a massive leap forward for them. I don't think they'll go the distance and win a championship, but I think we will be talking about this team as a contender in a couple of years for sure.
Sure. All right. And our picks are in. We'll see how, we'll keep you updated as the playoffs start and then end, I guess, and we'll see who's right. But for tonight, we will wrap things up with our patented 2-minute drill. So are you guys ready for a 2-minute drill?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to start the timer? It's obviously going to be Rich this time since he's all arrogant about how
Yeah.
Rich, remember?
You guys also said last time that this was happening.
Yeah. No, you're doing it. But I also want to point out that, we're banning yes as an answer. Like, you can't just say yes or no. Or maybe. Like,
it has to be a full complete sentence.
Take, bro. You got to give like at least a sentence.
Okay, dude. I'll give a sentence, dude. I'm about to Google the shortest sentence ever, and you guys have to accept it.
It's go.
Yes is a sentence.
So is go. Go is actually the shortest sentence in the English language. It's only 2 letters.
No? What about
no?
But anyway, Austin, when you're ready with the time, go ahead, and I will start the first question.
I'm counting it down. 3, 2, 1. 2-minute drill.
Rich, what is one NBA team that didn't make the playoffs or won't make the playoffs this year that should make it next year?
Golden State Warriors.
They will make the playoffs, though.
No, they're not. They're out.
I don't think so.
Okay, fine.
Don't argue with him. He's trying to trick you.
It's going to be the Bulls. Move on.
Okay, most underrated pick in this year's NFL draft.
Underrated?
Yep.
Oh, man, most underrated. Holy, yeah, this is not good. Most underrated pick. Pass. Let's.
All right. Which team in this NFL draft had the best overall draft class?
Best overall draft class for this year.
Yeah. Which team?
I think Jacksonville had a very good draft this year.
Okay. Where will Aaron Rodgers play in 2021?
2021, Aaron Rodgers will still play for the Green Bay Packers.
What about 2022?
No, you can't answer follow-up questions. Don't.
Follow-up question. Favorite? Okay, Rich. Who is your favorite ABA team?
Who?
The American Basketball Association.
Okay. Let's go with the Nets.
Okay.
Oh my God, he actually got that. That's
Yeah.
a team in the ABA.
Suck
Holy crap,
it.
that was good.
Rich,
Wow.
best
Excellent.
NHL goalie of all time.
Oh man. Skip. Next one.
Okay, will DK Metcalf
30 seconds, by the
do
way.
well in the 100-yard dash Olympic qualifier?
Yes, he will. Did you not see him chase down that defender?
I did.
Next.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Best defensive player
15
in
seconds.
NFL history.
NFL history.
Yep.
Lawrence,
10
linebacker.
seconds.
Giants. Move on.
Most underrated pick in this year's NFL draft.
5 seconds.
Underrated. I'm out.
2,
Done.
1, 0. Yeah, it's harder than you
Oh,
thought, Rich.
man.
The 2-minute drill is undefeated, dude.
It's
It's really only
still,
been defeated once
man,
on a technical.
hey, I got closer than most of you guys, though. even
you
with
missed 2
answering
questions. That's
Adam's-
about what
hey,
we normally do.
8 questions. I answered probably 2 or 3 extra questions that Adam asked.
I didn't even
During
hear.
the
I fought him
2-minute
off
drill.
from asking you those.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear the answer to the Aaron Rodgers in 2022.
He said Green Bay
Awesome.
Packers.
Both
No.
in
No,
2021
I
and
said Green Bay
2022?
Packers, and then I said somewhere else.
Okay.
Oh, that was an actual question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just trying to
Yeah.
stall him. My bad.
No,
You
that was
asked
like
you
2
were just-
questions in one
'cause you-
again. So
because similar to how you were arguing with him, like, well, the Golden State Warriors are going to make the playoffs this year. Like, you were trying to
Yeah.
I thought you were just trying to get him.
But they are. I mean, they're 8th seed right now. I think they would pretty much make it as long as they don't lose every game
but
for
you're
the
not
rest of
allowed
the
to
year.
weigh in, and I thought this was you just being devil's advocate just to slow him down. I did not.
I just
see
feel
that.
like you had to have picked someone that like legitimately is not going to make the playoffs this year. Like you could have even just said the Bulls, but
Okay.
you went with a team.
No, that's a fair pick though. The
that-
Warriors might not make it.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
They're
gonna
gonna
right now.
say-
They could miss.
I'm going to say right now,
They probably won't.
2-minute drill doesn't matter to me because I got that Nets team in there, and you thought you
That was good.
threw
man.
one in there, and you
So as is tradition,
You
you
like that?
were 2 questions short of
Short.
the finish, which seems to
God.
be pretty much the
Can
average.
we make a unanimous
Yeah.
decision to just make it a 6 or 7 question?
Yeah.
thing?
We got to go 6.
8 is too hard, man.
Yeah, we can go with 6, and
Let's
then we'll
go
make it
6.
easy. And then when we keep
Or
getting it
you
every
get-
time,
Or you just get 2 free yes or no answers.
No,
we
you
can
just
make it-
banned yes or no.
Oh,
You
right,
can't
yeah.
just add them in now, LeBron.
I'm just saying, bro.
only
That's-
when it benefits you, Austin, you can add them in.
I'm just saying, if we all agree to it now, I'm actually helping you, Rich. Otherwise, your win doesn't ever count.
I mean, I'm okay. My 1 win definitely counts. On top of that, I do want to say 8 questions. I answered more than 8 questions within that 2-minute drill.
You did
Just
not.
not all the questions that Adam had written down because Adam asked me multiple questions within the 8 questions that I
don't
answered.
think so. I don't think that's right at all.
Replay the tape. We have it on recording.
We
You
will.
actually have it on recording, so you
We
can
do.
with it, so we'll never really know if it was true or not.
All right, people.
Oh,
Does
man.
anybody have anything else to add for tonight?
No. not
Good
really.
cast.
All right. I just want to thank all the people that stuck with us for all 4 hours and 8 minutes of our stream for the draft. If you stuck with us the whole time,
It's true. There's like
Gotta send 'em a
6 to
t-shirt.
8 of you guys. There's 6
Bless
to 8
you.
people.
because we
Gotta
were
send
running
them
out
a
of steam at
t-shirt.
the end, I'm
I
not sure
thought
how you
Becky
can.
was terrific, by the way. When is Becky going to come on as a guest for this podcast? I think it's absurd
She-
that it's been 11 episodes. She hasn't.
She's available.
Cool.
She wasn't sure.
You just
She
don't
wasn't
want
sure
her.
How
about.
She'll
available is she?
Super
She'll make
available.
it. She'll make better takes than Adam. That's why he doesn't want her.
Yeah.
I was not
Yep.
referring to the podcast, but Adam already agreed. So,
Yep.
fans.
Wow. Okay.
Call us up.
Well, with that trash joke, we'll have to call it. As always,
All
it's been
right,
a pleasure,
people.
fellas.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.